Most men are taught the same dangerous lie. If you want her more, show her more, text more, call more, be more available, prove you care, chase harder. And yet, the moment you do that, something strange happens. Her excitement drops, her replies slow down, her interest fades. Here's the controversial truth most men don't want to hear. Women often feel a stronger attraction after a man pulls away. Not because women are evil, not because they enjoy games, but because attraction doesn't grow from certainty, it grows from emotional tension. When a man is always present, always available, always predictable, that tension dies. And when tension dies, attraction follows. Men are taught to lead with effort. Women respond to self-control. Men chase to feel secure. Women are drawn to men who already are secure. When a man pulls away, calmly, confidently, without drama, something powerful happens. The woman is forced to feel. She starts wondering. She reflects. She fills in the silence with her own emotions. And suddenly, the man she took for granted feels more valuable than the man who was always there. This isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding human psychology. Attention is only valuable when it can be lost. Presence only matters when absence is possible. And here's the part that makes this uncomfortable for men. The moment you stop chasing her approval is often the exact moment she starts chasing your attention. Throughout this video, we're not talking about ignoring women or playing childish games. We're talking about why pulling back at the right time in the right way can ignite attraction instead of killing it. Most men do the opposite and wonder why nothing works. 1. Why attention lowers your value. Most men believe attention is a gift. They think the more attention they give a woman, the more she'll appreciate them. In reality, attention works like money. The more you print it, the less it's worth. When you give a woman constant attention, texts every hour, instant replies, endless compliments, you're silently telling her something dangerous. I have nothing more important than you. And while that sounds romantic, attraction doesn't respond to neediness. It responds to priority and scarcity. A man who is always available doesn't feel chosen. He feels expected. And what's expected is rarely desired. Here's the uncomfortable truth for men. Women don't measure your interest by how much attention you give. They measure it by how much attention you withhold while still being confident. When your attention is unlimited, it stops feeling special. When it's earned, it feels valuable. This is why men who are busy, focused, and slightly unavailable often get more interest without trying. Their attention feels like a reward, not a habit. When they speak, it matters. When they show up, it means something. Silence from them creates space, and space creates thought. Thought creates emotion. Emotion fuels attraction. Most men sabotage themselves by over-explaining, over-texting, and over-showing up. They mistake effort for value. But effort without boundaries communicates insecurity, not strength. Pulling back doesn't mean being cold. It means not flooding her emotional space. It means letting your attention land instead of drown her. A calm, grounded man doesn't rush to prove himself. He lets people discover him. And here's the part men rarely hear. Women don't miss attention. They miss the feeling your attention gave them. And that feeling only exists when attention isn't guaranteed. 1. Imagine 2 men she's talking to. One replies instantly every time, sends long messages, checks in constantly, and always asks if she's okay. The other replies when he's free, keeps messages simple, disappears to handle his life, and doesn't chase reassurance. Over time, she stops noticing the first man's messages. They blend into noise. But when the second man texts, it creates a reaction. Not because he did more, but because his attention feels earned. That's the difference. Attention doesn't increase attraction. Controlled attention does. This is where most men get it wrong and why pulling back changes everything. 2. Chasing kills desire. Faster than silence. Chasing feels logical to men. If you want something, you go after it. You apply pressure, you show effort, you stay consistent. That mindset works in business, sports, and survival. But it backfires completely in attraction. When you chase a woman, you remove all uncertainty. You answer every question she hasn't even asked yet. You make your interest obvious, constant, and predictable. And the moment attraction becomes predictable, it starts dying. Here's the hard truth. Desire grows in silence more than it grows in pursuit. Chasing puts you below her emotionally. It says, I'm trying to convince you. And the moment a man is trying to convince, he's already lost leverage. Attraction doesn't respond to persuasion. It responds to confidence that doesn't need validation. Silence, when used correctly, does something powerful. It forces her to engage with her own thoughts. Instead of reacting to your messages, she starts wondering why you're quiet. Instead of being entertained by your effort, she starts filling in the gaps herself. And whatever people imagine on their own usually feels stronger than anything you could explain. Most men fear silence because they think it means rejection. In reality, silence is often what creates emotional movement. When you stop chasing, you stop pushing her away. You give attraction room to grow instead of suffocating it. Chasing also trains her to relax emotionally. If she knows you'll always be there, always initiate, always fix distance, she doesn't need to invest. And without investment, desire fades. People value what they have to lean toward, not what leans toward them. Pulling back isn't disappearing forever. It's stepping out of her emotional face. It's letting her feel the absence of your attention long enough for it to matter. And here's what makes this uncomfortable. The moment you stop chasing is often the moment she starts checking. 1. A man notices her replies getting shorter. Instead of sending another message, asking what's wrong, or trying harder, he pauses. He focuses on his life. 2 days later, she messages asking where he's been. Nothing changed except one thing: he stopped chasing. That silence did more than 10 extra texts ever could. Chasing tries to force desire. Silence allows desire to surface. That's why men who pull back feel magnetic, and men who chase feel forgettable. Next, we'll break down why certainty feels safe but kills attraction, and why mystery keeps emotions alive. 3. Certainty is boring. Mystery creates attraction. Men are taught to be clear. Say what you want. Show your intentions. Remove confusion. Be consistent. And while that advice sounds mature, it quietly destroys attraction when it's applied too early or too heavily. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Certainty feels safe, but safety doesn't create desire. Think about how quickly things lose excitement once you fully understand them. The movie you've already seen, the song you've played too many times, the game you already know you can win. Once the outcome is guaranteed, the emotional charge disappears. Attraction works the same way. When a woman knows exactly how you feel, exactly when you'll text, exactly how available you are, and exactly that you're not going anywhere, her nervous system relaxes. That relaxation feels calm. But calm is not desire. Desire needs a little tension, a little uncertainty, a little unanswered space. Most men rush to remove mystery because they're uncomfortable sitting with not knowing. They want reassurance. They want clarity. They want to lock things in so they don't lose her. Ironically, that urgency is what makes them lose emotional momentum in the first place. Mystery doesn't mean lying or playing games. It means not over-explaining yourself. It means letting your actions speak louder than constant reassurance. It means allowing her to wonder what you're thinking instead of giving her a full emotional report every day. Men often feel pressure to prove interest, but attraction doesn't grow from proof. It grows from presence mixed with restraint. When you give just enough but not everything, you stay interesting. When you reveal everything at once, there's nothing left to discover. You can relate to this in your own life. The things that pull you in are the things you haven't fully figured out yet. Once something becomes predictable, you stop leaning forward. You stop paying attention. You stop feeling that edge. Women experience this too, even if they don't consciously explain it this way. When a man feels emotionally finished, fully open, fully predictable, fully available, there's no pull left. There's no curiosity to engage, no emotional work to do. Mystery keeps her emotionally involved without effort. It invites her to think, to feel, to imagine. And what she imagines often carries more weight than anything you could say out loud. Certainty ends the story too soon. Mystery keeps it alive. And most men kill attraction not by doing something wrong, but by revealing everything too fast. Next, we'll talk about why pulling away triggers her emotions instead of pushing her away, and why distance often creates more connection than closeness ever could. 4. Why pulling away triggers her emotions. This is where men need to hear some hard truth. Most men don't pull away because they're confident. They can't pull away because they're emotionally dependent. They stay, they hover, they over-explain, and then they complain that women lose interest for no reason. The reason is simple. You never gave her the chance to feel anything. When you're always there, you block her emotions from surfacing. You answer every doubt before it becomes a feeling. You smooth over every silence. You remove every moment where she might miss you. And then you wonder why the connection feels flat. Pulling away triggers emotions because it introduces emotional contrast. Presence feels good only when absence exists. Light matters because there is dark. When you disappear just enough, her nervous system wakes up. She starts checking in with herself. Why do I feel this gap? Why do I care? Men hate this part because it requires discipline. It requires you to stop reacting emotionally to every shift in her energy. Instead of chasing when she pulls back, you're supposed to hold your frame. And most men fail here, not because they're weak, but because they've never been taught self-control. Here's the wake-up call. If pulling away makes you anxious, that's not love. That's attachment. A grounded man can step back without fear because his identity doesn't depend on her response. He doesn't need constant reassurance to feel okay. And that emotional stability is exactly what triggers attraction. Women don't feel deeply when everything is smooth and constant. They feel when something changes. When your energy shifts calmly instead of desperately, it creates emotional movement inside her. She goes from passive to alert, from relaxed to curious, from comfortable to engaged. Most men mistake pulling away for rejection. It's not. It's emotional leadership. You're saying, I won't chase uncertainty. I'll let it reveal itself. That confidence forces her to respond emotionally instead of you doing all the work. If you never pull away, you never give her the chance to invest. You stay the emotional engine while she coasts, and over time, engines burn out. Wake up to this. Attraction isn't built by staying closer. It's built by knowing when to step back without guilt. Men who learn this stop begging for emotions and start triggering them. Next, we'll break down a truth most men don't like to admit. Men fall in love through action. Women fall in love through space. Men hate this part because it requires discipline. It requires you to stop reacting emotionally to every shift in her energy. Instead of chasing when she pulls back, you're supposed to hold your frame. And most men fail here. Not because they're weak, but because they've never been taught self-control. Here's the wake-up call. If pulling away makes you anxious, that's not love. That's attachment. A grounded man can step back without fear because his identity doesn't depend on her response. He doesn't need constant reassurance to feel okay. And that emotional stability is exactly what triggers attraction. Women don't feel deeply when everything is smooth and constant. They feel when something changes. When your energy shifts calmly instead of desperately, it creates emotional movement inside her. She goes from passive to alert, from relaxed to curious, from comfortable to engaged. 5 men fall in love through action, women through space. This is another truth men resist because it goes against how they experience attraction. Men fall in love by doing, by pursuing, by investing time, energy, effort, and attention. The more a man acts, the more emotionally attached he becomes. Action creates attachment for men. That's why chasing feels so natural. It deepens your feelings, even when it weakens hers. Women are wired differently. Emotional attraction for women grows in space, not constant activity. Space gives room for reflection. Reflection creates emotion. Emotion builds attachment. When you remove space, you remove the emotional processing that leads to deeper feelings. Most men don't realize this, so they do the worst possible thing. They keep acting when they should be pausing. They think effort will make her feel what they feel. It won't. It only makes you feel more. This is where men need to wake up. If you're the only one initiating, planning, fixing, and pushing things forward, you're falling in love alone. You're bonding while she's observing. And then you're confused when you feel deeply invested and she feels uncertain. Space forces balance. When you step back, she has to step forward emotionally, or she doesn't. Either way, the truth reveals itself. Constant action hides reality. Space exposes it. Men often fear space because they think it means loss. But space doesn't kill real attraction. It reveals whether it exists. If she cares, space pulls her closer. If she doesn't, no amount of action would have saved it anyway. Here's the part most men don't like hearing. If you're exhausted, anxious, or overthinking, you're probably doing too much. A man who understands this stops trying to manufacture emotions. He allows them to develop naturally. He stops confusing movement with progress. he stops chasing closeness and starts allowing connection. Women don't attach because a man never leaves their side. They attach because they're given room to miss, to wonder, and to emotionally reach out on their own. Action binds men. Space binds women. Once you understand this, you stop fighting attraction and start working with it. Next, we'll talk about why doing less often creates stronger feelings and why restraint is one of the most misunderstood forms of confidence. 6. She feels more when you do less. This idea sounds backwards to most men, and that's exactly why it's powerful. Men are conditioned to believe that effort equals results. If something isn't working, you do more. You try harder, you show up stronger, but in attraction, doing more often creates the opposite effect. It overwhelms instead of attracts. You've probably felt this before, even if you didn't label it this way. The more you tried to hold things together, the more distant she became. The more you explained yourself, the less understood you felt. The more you showed care, the less it seemed to land. That frustration isn't random, it's feedback. When you do less, you create emotional contrast. Your presence becomes noticeable instead of constant. Your words carry weight instead of noise. Your energy feels calm instead of urgent. And calm confidence is far more attractive than emotional effort. Most men confuse intensity with depth. They think strong feelings must be expressed loudly and often. But real emotional impact is subtle. It's felt, not announced. When you pull back slightly, you stop pushing emotions onto her and start allowing her emotions to rise on their own. Doing less also removes pressure. Pressure kills attraction. When a woman feels that she's responsible for your emotional state, your happiness, your reassurance, your security, her nervous system tightens. Desire needs freedom, not obligation. By doing less, you remove that weight. This doesn't mean being careless or indifferent, it means being self-contained. You enjoy her, but you don't lean on her. You care, but you don't cling. You're present, but not dependent. That balance is rare, and that rarity is felt. You can relate to this in your own life. You're more drawn to people who don't demand energy from you. People who are comfortable in themselves, people who don't need constant validation. Their presence feels easy, not heavy. Women feel the same way. When you do less, she gets space to lean in. When you do everything, she has nowhere to go emotionally. Here's the wake-up point for men. If you're always trying to create feelings, you're blocking them. Attraction grows when effort is restrained and energy is grounded. The less you chase emotion, the more naturally it appears. Next, we'll close with the moment that changes everything. Why stopping your effort is often when she finally notices you. 7. The moment you stop trying is the moment she notices. This is the part that feels unfair to men, but it's also the most revealing. Most men only stop trying when they're tired, hurt, or close to giving up. And ironically, that's often when the shift happens. Not because you played a trick, but because you finally stopped forcing something that couldn't breathe. When you stop trying, your energy changes. You're no longer performing. You're no longer managing impressions, fixing moods, or chasing responses. You return to yourself. And that grounded state is what many men never show until they're exhausted. Trying too hard creates noise. It fills every gap. It answers every silence. And because of that, there's nothing for her to react to. When you stop trying, space appears. And space is noticeable. It creates contrast. It makes your absence louder than your presence ever was. Men hate this because it feels passive. It feels like losing control. But attraction doesn't respond to control. It responds to authentic emotional positioning. When you stop trying to be chosen, you finally stand as someone who chooses. This is also where men need to wake up. If stopping your effort suddenly changes her behavior, that tells you everything you need to know about the dynamic you were creating before. You weren't building attraction, you were carrying it. When you stop trying, you stop negotiating your value. You stop proving worth. You stop asking silently, is this enough? And the moment that question disappears from your energy, something shifts in how you're perceived. Relatable truth, you felt more confident when you stopped caring about the outcome. You've spoken better, moved easier, felt calmer. That state isn't accidental. It's who you are without pressure. And that version of you is far more attractive than the version trying to be impressive. Women notice when a man's attention is no longer chasing approval. Not because he's cold, but because he's centered. His presence feels optional, not desperate. His interest feels clean, not heavy. This doesn't guarantee attraction. And that's the point. It guarantees clarity. If she steps forward, it's real. If she doesn't, it never was. Stopping effort isn't giving up. It's stepping into self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation most men skip while trying to be liked. The moment you stop trying to be chosen is often the moment you finally become noticeable. Conclusion. Here's the part most men will hate hearing, but need to hear. Women don't fall for the man who tries the hardest. They fall for the man who holds himself back. That's right, all the texting, calling, complimenting, and chasing, it doesn't make you more attractive. It makes you predictable, needy, and easy to forget. Most men spend years building attraction the wrong way. They believe effort equals love. They believe persistence equals desire. And they wonder why women lose interest despite all their hard work. The truth is brutal. Your chasing has been killing your chances all along. If you truly want to see the change, you need to wake up and act differently. Step back. Create space. Stop giving your attention as if it's free. Let her feel the gap. Let her wonder. Let her chase you emotionally. That tension, that slight uncertainty, it's what sparks desire, fuels attraction, and separates men who are unforgettable from men who are forgettable. I want you to do something right now. Think about your past interactions. The times you over-texted, over-explained, or chased approval. How did she respond? Comment below with your experiences. I'll read every comment and reach out to connect. I want to hear your stories and help you understand where you can change, because this isn't about playing games. It's about understanding human nature and using it wisely. Here's the controversial part to let sink in. Sometimes pulling away isn't losing her, it's the only way to make her notice your value. And most men will never get this because they're too busy trying to prove it. In the next video, we're going even deeper. I'll reveal the exact timing, the subtle actions, and the mindset that will make her think about you constantly, even when you're not around. You don't want to miss this.